Good Lord. Sure is a pain in the arse when you're trying to do a sound check and get things arranged so that you can hear what's going on. So I've done 7 initial reviews on this bike, recordings, motovlogs. All of them were no good for audio, either by my stupidity or the actual, like, there's a lot more air blowing up through on this bike, so microphone placement and setup is critical. So I think we're gonna have to go with a curved windshield to throw some of the air up just a little bit higher. I'm just tall enough that with my Senna cavalry helmet, the air is hitting right at the top of my head. The vents are open here. I'm gonna have to figure something out for that because they don't need to be open all the time. I mean, if it's a screaming hot day, then it's a good idea to have them open just to get as much air at you as possible. But pretty much for motovlogging with this bike, it's full face helmet. Probably shield down most of the time unless it's a very slow mile per hour or so. Initial feelings about the Harley compared to the Goldwing. Okay, so we're comparing an 2005 GL 1800 Goldwing to a 2021 Road Glide Limited. So initial thoughts of buyer's remorse or anything like that? Absolutely not. That Goldwing was a good bike and served us well, but it was 16 years old, maybe a year older than that, depending on when it was bought, and 100,000 plus miles, which isn't much for that bike, but I was starting to see that any of the wear down parts was becoming an issue with it. I spent a lot of money on it before I let it go, but mainly because I had rides coming up that I needed the bike for, and so I had to do the repair. And I wasn't about knowing that, you know, the water pump was gone, that I was going to deal it to somebody and dump. I don't roll that way. I could have saved myself a lot of aggravation and grief and money, but I had that in the back of my head that I screwed somebody, where now they know up front. It's got a new water pump, it's got new fork tubes, new seals, bushings in the front end, new front rotors, new brake pads front and back, new back tire, really good front tire. Now, we had issues with the alternator that wasn't that the alternator was bad, it was a diode in the alternator was flawed or wasn't working anymore, it crapped out, whatever, but that's what was causing the whining on the audio system. You'd hear that whistling through the audio system. So I know that if somebody wanted to fix that, I mean, the alternator was putting out good voltage, everything was fine that way. It's just it was a little noisy through the sound system, so you know, wasn't gonna let you down because of it. So I did change the alternator. I was thinking about doing it, but I just never pulled the trigger because number one, I was gonna have to order it, and I knew in the back of my mind that the bike was going, so I just that guy's doing, but we'll get away. So we got the patches. I got my long distance rider 500 miles in less than 12-hour patch, and the membership patch. I got both on the cut now. I also put the little Harley Davidson wing patch on, badge, whatever you want to call it. I put it on the back, dead center, up top, just above the BATT logo. And the one, I only got one Friday the 13th patch. I should have one for every year I've been there. I just never bought the patch because Friday the 13th to us here isn't a real big deal. It's like going to the corner store, so we're up here all the time, and yeah, so I put that one on down along the waistband of the cut, and I'll probably just put them all the way around as I go. I got my long distance rider pin. I think it's running now. We'll check when we get stopped here, or a stoplight or something. So the last time I was out testing the system with the Rode Wireless Go 2s, I had this camera which is doing the recording set to internal microphone, not external, so all my audio was just what it could hear ambiently through the air. So guitars, and well, he's having fun anyway. So Harley versus Goldwing. Shit ton of crotch rockets. Okay, so things the Goldwing did better. Adjustable headlights, remote adjustment, so you could reach down, turn the dial, and raise or lower the headlights. Very handy, especially if you blew a low beam, both low beam bulbs. You could crank the headlight down and turn on the high beams, and it wouldn't blind the riders coming the other way because they were already just get rid of the Space Cadet. So number one for the Goldwing. Number two thing that I will give it is rider seat comfort, but with the ultimate seat on the Goldwing. These seats are very close, extremely close, competitive, but I think I would give the advantage to the ultimate on the rider seat only. On the passenger seat for the Princess, this by far on the Harley is the better seat for her. Namely because the seat is slightly narrower, she is tiny, and even with the raising the foot pads with those CNC machine blocks that I put on there, raising her feet 3 inches, she still is able to go farther pain-free with the Harley. And to put it right, I would say we haven't found her limit yet as to seat comfort or discomfort. We rode 5.5 hours up around Lake Simcoe to Huntsville. And she was pain-free the whole time. And when we got to Huntsville, she said, like, this is amazing. And you know, she said, like, I could just keep going. She didn't even say I could go another hour. She just said we could just keep going. We were just hungry. That's the only reason we had to stop. Go for a little tour up along the lake, and hopefully this is recording and doing a good job. There may be some air fluctuation right now, but wind noise. So what else about the Goldwing is better? I don't know. Can't think of anything else. So let's switch over. The Harley. What's better on the Harley? On the Harley. Wait, back up. Goldwing better? Clutch. Hydraulic clutch versus this cable clutch. I don't especially like this cable clutch. I'm kind of reserving my final opinion on it because we're kind of still breaking in, and you know, those clutch springs are still kind of stiff. And helmet camera seems to be turning off for some reason. Okay. So clutch, we're still giving it to the Honda for right now, but maybe things will work in a little better. Maybe it's an adjustment issue. I don't know if I can get a adjustable lever to set it more where I want it, like you can with the hydraulic ones. I know like the Goldwing had the adjustable levers on it. Hopefully for the cable ones you can do the same thing, so you can adjust where that lever is going to be. She got the rumble. Okay, so moving on, what's the Harley got that's better? 6th gear at 120 kilometers an hour, or roughly about 70 miles an hour. This bike is hands down a better cruiser than the Goldwing, period. Hands down, that 6th gear makes so much difference. I like the belt drive better than the shaft drive. There's no lash in there, and it's perfectly smooth. Shifting is basically, they're both just as clunky as each other. They're both big bikes. I don't really see a difference in that. I do like the heel shifter on this bike. Because of breaking my foot last November, it's been a little bit of a challenge on some of the longer rides that it was bothering my foot to shift. Now I don't have highway pegs on this bike, so that will enhance my long distance seating posture. One of the guys I run into at the local coffee shop, he said, I got a set of black highway pegs exactly the same as these. He showed me on his friend's bike. He had the exact ones that I want, and he said that these foot pegs are exactly the same, only they're the skinny ones, which is what I want. I don't want the big wide pad yet. I think I just want the skinny ones, just for the aesthetics of the bike. So he said he'd contact me through my YouTube channel, Facebook or whatever. He said, I gotta have to dig them up. He says, I don't know where they are. He says, I'll have to hunt. So he said, I'll look them up and then I'll let you know if I found them. Long distance, being able to change my footing goes to the Goldwing because I don't have the foot pegs yet, but I think once I do, it will definitely flip the other way. So I don't really, even on that 5.5 hour run to Huntsville, I don't recall ever really wanting to stretch out. I didn't. This seating position for me on this bike is absolutely perfect. Where with the Goldwing, I had to get stretched. This seating, your feet are that much forward, like you're a foot more forward in your posture. It's basically it's just the weight of your legs and your feet on them. It's not that you're putting any real body weight into it. Plus I just had the foot pegs on the Goldwing, where maybe with floorboards it would have been better, but you know, we're trying to compare apples to apples, the bike to the bike as it was to the bike that it is. Deflecting the wind off of the rider goes to the Goldwing, hands down. The windshield on the Goldwing was absolutely humongous, right? So a little bit different style of bike, competing in the same market. Wind off the rider. Motovloggability of that bike was way better than this one. The suspension for 2-up riding, I think they said it, you know, if you were loaded down, you would probably maybe tap it up a little bit, but there's another thing for the Goldwing that the Goldwing gets is, so say you're riding along and you realize that you need to adjust your rear suspension up a little bit stiffer because of the weight you're carrying, or down because you're not. The Goldwing, all you had to do was stop and you could adjust it on right just standing there, as long as you were stopped in neutral. On the Harley, you have to take the left side bag off to be able to reach in there and adjust that setting. That's a bit of a pain in the butt, but it's possible on the first coffee stop. Handling. Some people are going to be angry with me, but handling goes to the Harley, especially low speed. Low speed maneuverability at almost standstill, easier than with the Goldwing. It's easier with the Harley. I think it's to do with the steering angle is a little steeper, and I think it gives a little bit more controllability of the bike, and so therefore I'm giving that to Harley. Come through these twisties, and then there's a steep hill. Now you get a line of bikes going over here. Around this corner it looks like a train, and then when they go down through this dip, it is the most awesome sight you will see. It's like a motorcycle train. Camera doesn't usually pick it up, but every once in a while you'll get a little glimmer of it, because it's part of it is the feeling that it gives you, like it tricks your body, tricks your eyes to all the movement. It's cool. It's a cool road. Back off, because otherwise this guy's gonna stop. Oh, I know what. You know what's the best thing about this for a motovlogger? That damn vent that was in the middle of the windshield is gone. It's down lower on this bike, but it doesn't interfere with the camera like the other one did. I always had to have the camera raised up to about here. It was just under my eye line of sight to be able to get a clear view through the windshield. So this one I like better because of that. Oh, the instrumentation, I mean, I love this setup. Some people complain about the gauges being low, the speedometer and the tachometer being low, and they like the way that the Ultras and the Street Glides, the entertainment center is down low and the gauges are up high, but I like this configuration. Took me a few times to realize that the fuel gauge is on the other side, so I keep looking over at the amp meter to see how much fuel I have. And it's like one of those duh moments. But stereo, stock stereo on both. No doubt about it. It's the Harley wins big time on that, and justifiably so. It's, you know, a 16-year newer bike, and technology and everything has changed. Passenger comfort, she has control of stereo, intercom volume, and radio channel change capabilities from her seat. I had the WIM system installed on this bike. I had the FreeWire systems installed on the Goldwing. I've seen reviews by Law-Abiding Biker and some others out there that say, oh, the FreeWire is way better, because on a generic Cardo or Senna or any other headset back then, they said that you could only get mono through a non-Harley related headset. So Senna makes Harley related Bluetooth systems with the Harley branding on them. At the time that they were doing those reviews, they were saying that you couldn't get stereo on a non-Harley branded headset. I don't know if that's still correct, but I don't really give a damn about whether it's stereo or mono in my motorcycle helmet. I'm not listening to hi-fi, high fidelity. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for just something to entertain me on a long haul, and clear intercom, and not having to use up 2 phone connections to do that, and then leaving the Bluetooth capability of the Goldwing. You know, you use up too many phone connections, then you can't use the FreeWire will get bumped, right? So now that may not be on a Harley, because, you know, the Harleys, any of them with the boombox are new enough where that Goldwing was not. Like, it's kind of apples to oranges on that comparison. So without going into a whole lot of shit detail, I have a lot of experience with the Goldwing and Bluetoothing and trying to get things all to work at the same time. And just in the few moments that after I paired my headsets on my cavalry Senna helmets to the bike through the WIM system, with those helmets I was getting a little bit of echo, and all it was I needed to turn the volume down on the volume in the bike settings to stop the echo, and it was still extremely loud and very clear, even with those open air speakered helmets. That really has nothing to do with the phone. The phone is connected through the bike into my helmet on that same connection. So I'm only using that one phone connection to connect everything. 2 helmets, there's a voice button here so I can make text, I can give the phone commands and all that, and everything works. I am extremely pleased, and I think it is well worth the money, because really what they charged me for the WIM system, other than the labor to install it, the price for the unit is the same pretty much as one free wire. So with the WIM system, you only need one to connect two helmets, passenger and rider. With the free wire, you need two separate free wire and two separate plug-ins to the intercom system to make the thing work. I guess trying to justify to some people why I made the switch. Yeah, run me off the road for a... So when I was sewing my patches on, I just leather stitching needle that I have. It's one that I had. Make a little space. All right. So as far as the entertainment system, Bluetooth ability, need a hand there, little lady? Hands down, it goes to the Harley. Mileage, gas mileage. Not sure yet. Right now, I think I'm getting about I'm not even going to say, because I haven't really calculated it out, and I don't want to say what I think it's going to be, but right now we're still kind of breaking in. It's broke in, but it's, you know, I imagine the mileage is still a little light on the Harleys. Mile per gallon is probably a little tainted by the breaking in of the bike. We'll hold off on that one for a bit until we get a full, maybe after this couple's road trip coming up this week, that I'll be able to give a better estimate of what we're getting. Handling, I'm gonna review it a bit more. It goes to this bike as being the best handling. Now everybody's going to say, oh, it's top heavy, blah blah blah. It's not that bad. And I think the narrowness of the bike and how in the bike I am, this bike fits me better than the Goldwing. And I don't, or you don't notice that little bit of top heavy in low speed. I think the only time you're really going to notice the top heaviness, and it won't be that much different, is if you get into a little bit of gravel under your feet trouble, and you know you're losing, your feet go out from under you kind of thing, and you're trying to hold the bike up. That would probably be where you would notice that it is a little bit more top heavy. But the road glide, as far as out on the twisties, I'll give it to this bike. It is more nimble. It feels lighter on the rolling. It feels lighter. I guess that's the best way to describe it. It feels lighter when you're rolling. I've not been posting any videos lately, and the number one reason was I wasn't making any because I was dedicating all my miles to learning this bike and getting used to it, and I didn't want to be dealing with all this stuff while I was learning the bike. I didn't want to get into a situation where that caused me to tip it over or, do something stupid. So I didn't load up the cameras that much. I took it out for an initial run with a helmet cam and just did a short video just to introduce the bike, and now we're at the point where the emergency stopping, my foot isn't trying to push through the floorboard looking for the brake pedal. I know that the brake pedal is, my reflex is to go up to get to the brake pedal. It's not going to cause me an issue during an emergency stop, and so therefore once I knew that I was good that way, I said, okay, now I can load up the cameras. And so then it was 8 or 10 tries with audio trying to get the right thing, and I just came to the fact that I either have to run the cavalry through a Bluetooth unit with the road to this camera, because going directly Bluetooth to the camera, the audio sucks. It's a little better with the road, with the cavalry helmets, and I'm doing it a different way here. I'm using the road system plugged into my helmet here, into my helmet microphones. And directly into the camera. So this will be the best audio that I can get with the setup that I have right now. Moto Travels, we need to have a talk, because I'd really like you to do an audio video of your setup on your helmet and in detail how you've got that microphone mounted and what the microphone is. From what I see with the Road Glide motorcycles, yours is the best setup for audio for this bike. So we need to have a little chat. So anything else I can think of. I love the paint on this bike. I like the silver of the Goldwing. I think it's the best color for those bikes. They really show up on the road, the silver ones. But this Harley is a beautiful bike, and we get compliments. We have people pulling up beside us on the big highway, slab highway, and rolling their window down and telling us how beautiful the bike is. I mean, which is nice to hear. We like to hear that other people like our bike. So something else about the bike. The belt drive system is quieter. Don't have that gear noise howl that the shaft drives have. Don't have the chain drive rattle. Tires, well, they're pretty well running the same rubber. Different size wheels, but other than that, I mean, it's similar. Storage space on the Harley is bigger, better. The ability to remove the pannier bags is an extreme asset when it comes to cleaning the bike. I can leave this bike on the side stand, take off the bags and clean everything up in there extremely easily compared to the Goldwing. I haven't, you know, if I wanted to wash up in underneath there, it was put it up on the jack. So I guess we'll wrap it up for now. That's basically my first initial impressions of the new bike at 4,709 kilometers total so far on the Harley Davidson Road Glide Limited 2021. And just remembered one more thing. Built-in TPMS system on the Harley. Built-in GPS system in the Harley, anti-lock brakes, traction control, all built in on the Harley. Wasn't even on my 2005 base model Goldwing. So those things make this bike way more secure than the other one. That's it. That's the full wrap. Thanks for stopping by and listening to me. And we'll catch you again. This is Jarvis Biker out on the Road Glide. Bye. Bye-bye.